Human consciousness is a strange concept that we are both continuing to explore on the scientific and metaphysical realms. But what happens when we dream and we see ourselves from a third person perspective and we watch things unfold as we see our lifeless corpse laying on the bed? Well, let's find out. Today, we are responding to a TikTok video that I have been tagged in multiple times. Somebody who is seeing themselves from a third-person perspective while they are asleep. Is it astral travel? Is it projection into an alternate realm? What is happening to their lifeless body lying on the bed? Let's review what's going on, and I wonder if you have a similar experience to this. While we're going through this, if you're somebody who has dreams, want to know more about dreams and what they mean, hit subscribe. Let me help you out. If you don't, you may be haunted by a sleep demon. Cannot confirm nor deny. I am in contact with somebody from that realm who says that they personally haunt those who don't hit that button. So listen, at your own risk. All right, let's go. Here we go. This is a TikToker. I want to give appropriate credit. Rising Appalachia has some weird experiences in their life. Quite a few people have related to this and made comments. So let's hear what she's got to say.
Hi, something very strange is happening to me. Story of my life.
I feel that.
What's going on is I'm having sleep paralysis, but it's not your average sleep paralysis. Oh no, it couldn't just be that simple.
I love her humor through this. It's like, oh God, my life is falling apart. It's fine.
What I have is not even actually sleep paralysis, I don't think. I don't think I've ever even actually had sleep paralysis, but that I don't have another word for it. So just
sleep paralysis, if you're unclear on the term, by the way, which I don't think she is having sleep paralysis. I don't think so after watching the video, but we'll get into that in a minute. If you have sleep paralysis, it's where you cannot move, but you're aware that you can't move, right? So you're trying to move, but you can't. And that's actually a very normal experience. Oh, I wouldn't say normal. It's a parasomnia, right? Like it's a medical condition, but it's not harmful. It's a normal thing that happens in the brain. However, when you're sleep deprived, stressed, you've got mental health issues that aren't being addressed, when you wake up, your brain may not connect back to your body in time for you to realize that you are paralyzed, right? So if that made sense. When you go to sleep, your brain and your body disconnect, and they're supposed to reconnect as you wake up. But sometimes you wake up before the brain reconnects with the body and you realize you can't move anything. Oftentimes, this is accompanied with my joke in the beginning, sleep paralysis demons, right? You see things in your room. It can also be accompanied with a feeling of a heavy weight on your chest, like you can't breathe. But rest assured, nobody has actually been hurt from sleep paralysis. Even people who say like, well, what if you had sleep paralysis while you're in a bath and you started to drown? Your fight or flight response kicks in and you reconnect very rapidly. It's like that feeling of falling, how that wakes you up very quickly and you're able to jolt awake and be in connection with your body. That part of your brain, like that primal instinct, kicks in. So nobody's ever actually been hurt, as far as I know, in the medical records from sleep paralysis. So let's see what she's having. But sleep paralysis is very important. I get tagged in it quite a bit. I thought you might be interested to know what it is.
Just bear with me. I go to sleep, I guess, and I wake up and I am in the room that I'm sleeping in, watching myself sleep. It's very creepy. Exact same room, I see all of us in our positions, exact like my kids and my husband and everything. Me right there, and I try to wake myself up this whole dream.
Kind of wild, right? So you can see it's not really sleep paralysis because she's not in her body. She's like trying to wake herself up, but she's not inside of herself, right? Now, the spiritual community will say it's one thing. I'm not a pastor. I'm not like a spiritual guru. So don't ask me that. Ask them. But from the medical side of things, this happens to a lot of people. And it happens to a lot of people for a few reasons, but usually it's a problem. If you're stressed, if you're not getting good sleep, if you've got something wrong with your diet, maybe too much melatonin, you'll have sort of these weird connections between dream life and waking life. And some people are just more prone to these, like borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder can also be like more prone to having these blurry boundaries between waking and sleeping. They call it sleep-wake confusion, right? And you may have had this as well. Deja vu falls into this category where you're like, did I dream this? Did this happen in my life? Is this memory or is this dream memory? Sounds like something similar is happening to her. And so I'm not of the belief that you can actually see yourself. You're not actually transcending yourself. You're aware of the general surroundings as you go to sleep, and you're picturing them as you wake up. Your mind may even hear things or feel things changing in the room and then interpret them and visualize them as you're sleeping, but I don't think it's literal seeing, right? There's not a lot of evidence to support like remote viewing, astral plane travel, projection, stuff like that. And so I'm not a big believer in it, but mental health conditions and problems with your mind can cause you to feel and experience these things, which, like she said, can be wildly unsettling.
Because although my house and everything's exactly the same, there's also like weird little shadowy things creeping and crawling around the house, and they're trying to get to me while I'm trying.
Dobby, is that you? Do y'all remember the dust bunnies from Big Comfy Couch? You remember? Do you guys remember that show, The Big Comfy Couch with Molly, and like there were those little dust bunnies underneath the couch? It's like, oh shit. This is why I say it's probably some mental health kind of situation going on, because like I said with sleep paralysis, what those are called, when you see things in your room, you're actually seeing dream projections on your waking life reality. So if you open your eyes while you're in a dream state, your mind doesn't exit the dream. It continues to dream, but now it's incorporating both the dream and your visuals into what's being experienced. So you'll see shadowy figures, you'll see mythical creatures, you'll see usually nightmarish type of stuff, but projected because your eyes are open. And so she's seeing these shadow figures creeping and crawling around her room because this is similar to kind of a parasomnia sleep paralysis episode. So normally the reason that happens, though, if this happens to you, again, let me know in the comments. The reason that this happens is usually those fears, those stresses, those things that we haven't resolved in our mental health or in our mind are projected, right? Carl Jung called this the shadow. So depth psychology calls this the shadow because they're all those things about ourselves that we don't like or aren't facing, right? So if I, maybe have some unresolved feelings about like a past relationship, or I have some things that I feel guilty and embarrassed about, I hide those while I'm awake, but then they come out as these shadow projections while I sleep. And that's where we get that symbolism from. So my thought would be something like that as far as mental health is going on here. Now, again, not a therapist, not diagnosing, but it's an interesting topic to bring up.
To get to myself, to wake myself up. And this has happened to me for decades now.
Chronic.
Well, this has happened to me for like a very long time, like years. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'll notice before I actually get to sleep, like I'll be trying to go to sleep, I hear...
Here's something interesting to know about too, like PTSD, anxiety, chronic mental health conditions like depression cause you to not get very restful and recuperative sleep. So she may be experiencing something like that as well. And that's why she's waking up exhausted, because her mind's doing all these things and so busy trying to heal her while she's sleeping that it wakes up tired.
It's like loud explosions and like what sounds like a really loud zipper just zipping in my ear, or like things crashing.
So there's something called, and you may want to Google this, it's called exploding head syndrome. Exploding head syndrome happens when there's a misfire, at least the current thought about what exploding head syndrome is. There's a misfire in the neurons as you're falling asleep or waking up, and you'll hear a loud bang. It's actually pretty surprising. So like zipper noises, loud bangs, like explosions, those things in your ear, they're still researching it, but they believe that your neurons are trying to wind down or start up. And there's kind of like a car engine, right? When you turn it on, it goes ying, 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 pop, 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 pop. It like backfires, God, don't replay that clip. Your brain kind of does the same thing because it's trying to wake up and trying to start the day. And so it sounds like she's got a lot of things going on, like a few parasomnias, a few problems that are taking place and causing her to just be exhausted when she wakes up in the morning. And I think many of us can identify with this.
And I'm just like, I already have insomnia.
There you go.
I just can't sleep. I've never been a good sleeper.
Yep.
I've already had strange dreams of like creepy stuff.
Yep.
This one's in its own like weird category, and I just want to get a peaceful night's rest.
Girl, I want it for you too.
What is this? How do you make it stop?
That's a great question. How do you make it stop? You go talk with your doctor. You go talk with your counselor. You get good sleep. You be more consistent and you start changing your diet, right? Those things, I know they're boring, right? But exercise, consistent sleep, good diet, they help. They help even better than medication, right? And so I know it's an answer that none of us like because it's not a Western answer. It's a boring answer, but it makes a huge difference. work through your trauma, talk with a counselor, find some peace in your waking life, and that will follow in to your dream life. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? That's all I got to say about this. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.